Welcome to Sweethearts or Rivals. I'm Charla.
I'm Justin.
What's on our table today?
Last Will.
With the Getting Sacked expansion.
Oh.
So what we're going to do in this video is give our impressions about what the expansion brings to the game.
There we go.
So what does it actually add to the game component-wise?
It adds a bunch of new cards that you just kind of throw in the regular decks. Mm-hmm. And most of those cards are centered around the idea of there being events and stuff around a wedding. Mm-hmm. And kind of the cool little mechanism that adds to that is if you've got in your hand several different cards that are all wedding type cards, but none of them are duplicate, because there's some duplicates, for one action, instead of one action per card, you can spend one action and play them all. So if you can manage to do that, it's a great way to like one action get a whole bunch of cash gone.
Right, but they're mostly mixed in with these cards here.
Yes, with the events.
And there's only how many that gets added in? 6 or something?
Yeah, so it's not a lot.
Yeah.
But there's also these
Some
cards
in this deck.
in the special deck as well. Yep. Yeah. So there's actually, seems like there's only 6. That's not a lot, but there's a lot more.
No, but adding what comes in this, but there's not a lot of cards included with that. There's this one too.
Yep.
So
there's that. And the way that the Getting Sacked expansion is set up is you can add each of these components separately, kind of like modules.
Right.
So adding the extra cards into the game doesn't change anything about the game.
How you play.
Yeah. So that's kind of nice. You just throw them in and you start playing.
Right.
Just got to remember that whole interesting thing that you can combine wedding cards into one kind of action.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, if you just add that.
Yep.
But it also adds that we have a job now.
Yes. The next one is instead of drawing a card and saying everyone's starting with this much money and that's it, you draw a card and you're starting off with a certain amount of money and then you're going to get a job. And there's a job that has 4 demotions and there's jobs that have 5 demotions. So the card that you draw will tell you which type of those you're going to take from. Mm-hmm. If you're going to start with one of the 5 demotion jobs, you're also going to start with a lot of cash. So that's going to be a either more difficult or longer game.
Right.
If you start off with 4, it's going to be a little bit shorter or a little bit easier. The jobs start off, first of all, at the beginning of each round, you look at how many demotions you haven't earned yet. And so you're going to be making that much money every round. So you're going to actually be gaining money every round, which is crazy. That's never happened.
I mean, it's not a lot, though.
No.
Because if I hadn't got any, this is only $7.
Yeah.
But as they get covered up, you get less and less income.
Yep. You can only earn 1 demotion per round. And you have to play specific cards or specific symbols or do certain actions in order to earn that demotion. So you have to kind of work out, okay, here's all my cards, I could do this, this, and this, but if I do this card right now, it'll earn me that first demotion, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And you don't have to do them in order.
No, not at all. Now, if you find that you are not playing the cards that earn you demotions, on the board, there is a place you go to get the expansions to your boards, but if you don't want to get an expansion, you can put your top hat there, and then you can just really make your boss mad and get a demotion. Mm-hmm. It just costs a top hat instead.
Right.
Nice. So that adds a new aspect, because in order for you to win the game, not only do you have to be broke, but you have to be fired. Mm-hmm. And you have to get all your demotions before you're fired. And the faster you get it done, the less money you're earning in income.
Right.
Yeah. So that's an interesting little aspect to add to the game.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it's very thematic.
It is. It adds a little bit more storytelling.
Yeah. Yeah. And the next thing that adds to it is it's going to add this board right here. And instead of the regular board, you replace it with this one that has a great big hole in it. And the reason it has that hole is because the planning thing is a whole bunch of tiles, and they're double-sided, and each side is different. So it's going to make setting these up, you're going to have a different kind of planning playing field for every game.
Right.
Yeah.
Because isn't it, you draw them, and whatever side you pick dictates where you're going to put it.
Yep.
It's going to eliminate certain tile positions and where they're all going to fit together.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, like, tile number 4 here, one side has 3 top hats, the other side has 2 top hats. So you might have a game with a couple of these things with 3 top hats. You might have a game with none with 3 top hats. It actually gives more components so that everyone has 3 top hats as well. But it just makes it so that that planning board is going to be a little bit different every single game.
Right. You have to be careful too on which side you put up, because each side is for a different amount of players.
Yes, this is true.
Yeah, so it doesn't add another player or anything. It's still 2 to 5 players.
Yep.
It's still going to take you about 45 to 75 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still good for ages 13 and up. So it doesn't change any of the stats on it.
Nope. And all you're really going to get is a little bit of variable setup with the planning area, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
New cards, which don't add any new rules.
Right.
Really, the only kind of new aspect or new mechanism to the game is earning the demotions and getting rid of your job before you can win the game.
And how the wedding cards interact with each other.
Yep. That's it.
Mm-hmm. One thing I will say about the expansion is they didn't lay out the names of the cards that came in the expansion in the rule book. So that's a little tricky if you're sometimes wanting to play the base game or the expansion.
Hi, Kales. Yeah, if you ever want to separate the cards, that's not easy to do.
So what I would do if you're planning on getting the Getting Sacked expansion, once you get your cards opened, just take a picture of them.
Before you add them to the base game.
Right, because then you have that to refer back to.
Yep.
And then if you ever want to pull them out, it makes it a lot easier, because it was tricky to actually find the spot on the Board Game Geek where there was a forum post on how do I separate my expansion from my game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think you would always play with the Getting Sacked expansion?
Yes. Yeah. Now that I'm used to the setup of this new board and the cards themselves, because we hadn't played Last Will in a long time.
Yeah, it had been a while.
Yeah. Sitting down to play Last Will for the first time, I was a little overwhelmed by just all the different decks and what stays and what goes and all that kind of stuff. So now that I'm used to that, it's just, yeah.
Yeah.
And
I mean, if you're very used to the game, it's not going to feel that overwhelming.
No, not at all.
But I think if you're just going to play Last Will for the first time, I'd probably want to just stick with the base game.
Yeah.
Or maybe do this part of the board if you have Getting Sacked, and just do this board, and that's it.
Oh, the variable planning area.
Yeah, and just ignore that Anger Your Boss section.
Yeah,
like have it just be for extra tiles or whatever.
True.
So it would be exactly like the base game, but you get a little bit of variable setup with those action selection spots.
And there's nothing to say that you couldn't, if you had the base game and the expansion all at once, you couldn't play the base game and then add one aspect of the expansion, because it's 3 different modules that can be added separately.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of cool.
But I do enjoy the expansion quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it does bring in, like, how you anger your boss. I just find I like storytelling.
Yeah.
So it just makes you come up with these stories like, what in the world did a fork and a knife have to do with getting my boss angry? Well, let me tell you about it, because it's kind of funny. Yeah.
Because I went on a dinner date and brought my horse, and I didn't bring my boss.
Yeah. Or I went to dinner with my boss and I stabbed him with a fork.
There you go.
I mean, that would make him cranky too.
That would. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So it does add a little bit more of a narrative to it, which is cool.
Yeah.
And the variable setup planning is really awesome, so that each game isn't the exact same for the planning, which is I could definitely see you getting into a rut of always trying to get this or that and blocking this or that kind of thing. Yeah.
And it's nice that it adds more cards too.
Yep.
Because it's not a game where all the cards are available. You're just going to have these cards.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have extra cards because it'll make this more variable too.
Yeah. Right on.
Cool.
So that's our impressions of the Getting Sacked expansion to Last Will.
Right.
If you like Last Will, she's definitely looking to get in that.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks a lot.
We'll see you in the next video.
See ya. There we go. I don't know what it's doing.
That was
You
weird.
might just take that right out.
I better.
Yeah.
Yeah.